Good evening. Oh, I don't have the script up. There it is. Good evening and welcome to the North Georgia GMRS Regional Net. Tonight we are live from Studio Vanguard. We are linked in with the following repeaters.
Do I say Georgia? Because you said Georgia earlier.
Yeah, Georgia. We're the Georgia repeater.
Even though that's not on the list.
The big flagship Georgia repeater.
Lookout Mountain, Cades Cove, Fort Mountain, Mount Roosevelt, White Oak Mountain, Chattanooga, Ottawa, Georgetown, Jersey, Toccoa, Flagship, Columbus, Rome, McDonough, Zebulon, Salicoa Ridge, Lula, Noonan, Dallas, Peachtree, and Ocala, Florida, and of course our VoIP service, Zello.
Tonight our RF coverage is a pretty big deal. This net takes place every Thursday evening at 7:30 p.m., 7:31, 7:32, something like that. I'd like to thank everyone who's made the North Georgia GMRS the most expansive and active GMRS network in the country. Your net control tonight is Atlanta 946, WQYR 514. My name is Justin.
Atlanta 947, WQYR 514. Yep, that's it. My name's Julie.
It's the same as Justin's, but the TAC number is different. And this is WRMR 367. My name is Jeff.
You're on the net. You can talk about your day's activities, radio equipment, or anything you think we'd like to hear about. This is a family-based network, so we encourage you to get your family involved. Guest check-ins are welcome from anyone with a valid FCC call sign. Once the floor is open, it is permissible to address other members of the net by their name or tactical unit number. Your FCC call sign is only required when you sign in and sign out of the net. Also, you can tune in on our YouTube channel and follow along there. Or even better, tune in after the net to watch your appearance and hear how you sound right here in Studio Vanguard. Be sure to like and subscribe and leave a comment. Comments and those activities mean the most to help our channel grow. The topic this week is personal information security and stuff. So we'll be talking about things like protecting your credit card, when you're out, avoiding credit card fraud, things of that nature. But before we get there, let's see if you think it's time to catch up with Kate.
I don't know. We'd have to ask.
Let's try.
Good evening. This is WRMR 367, Atlanta 751, Kate from high atop Mount Waleski, live in Studio C with this week's Catch Up with Kate. For those on our Tennessee repeaters, check out the next Skywarn net on Tuesday evening. Have a computer handy to follow along. Thank you to Chattanooga 69, Ronnie, Chattanooga 84, Jim, and Chattanooga 118, Stuart. For all of our new members, please be advised that there is an ERC net on Wednesday evenings. The ERC net is a closed net for ERC members only. Only those with an ERC TAC number may check in. For more information about the ERC net, call out to the ERC Net Control at the conclusion of their net. The Chattanooga Amateur Radio Club continues to offer free classes and workshops on a variety of topics. Check their website at w4am.net for a new list of classes and workshops coming up soon. Let me break.
Apparently, we should have checked in Sterling.
No barking, Teddy. The Chattanooga Radio Luncheon is tomorrow, November 15th at Sugar's Ribs at 2450 15th Avenue, time at 12 noon. Come on out and join us all. Ronnie, Chat 69, Jim, Chat 84, and Stuart, Chat 118, all look forward to seeing you there. The Peachtree Corners Lunch Bunch will be gathering this Saturday, November 16th, around noon at JR's Log Cabin Restaurant. It is a very welcoming, rustic, laid-back atmosphere, perfect for connecting with one another and building lasting friendships. Breakfast and lunch is available, and there's something for everyone. For more details or to RSVP, please reach out to Pamela, Atlanta 849. The Northeast Bunch will hold their monthly lunch meetup on Wednesday, November 20th at 11 a.m. They will be at the usual place, Rooster's Cafe in Dahlonega, Georgia. If the weather is nice, they will be found outside on the patio. All North Georgia GMRS members are welcome. For additional information, please contact Atlanta 403 Bobby or Gainesville 44 Joe. Let me break. And don't forget the Friday night at 9 Simplex Challenge on the Monument Repeater every Friday evening starting at 8:30. Early check-in starting at 8 p.m. This Friday evening will be a roundtable discussion on how Simplex fits into your emergency plans with some side note discussion. Questions should be directed to Dana, Atlanta 250, or Jonathan, Gainesville 58. They hope to hear from you this Friday evening. If you have any questions, suggestions, or spicy announcements for us on, send me a note at NGGMRS.org, and please try to have them in by Tuesday at noon so we have time to prepare to get your announcement on the air. We are North Georgia GMRS Network. This is WRMR 367, Atlanta 751. My name is Kate, and now back to Net Control.
Thank you, Kate, for all of those announcements. One minor update to that. JR's Log House Restaurant, often referred to as the Log Cabin Restaurant, but if you're trying to Google the place, if you Google Log House Restaurant, you'll find the location. So minor correction, but makes a difference, I suppose, if you're trying to search for something. So the correct name is JR's Log House Restaurant. Thanks for all those announcements, and thanks for being awesome. Next up, I think we have Julie's Tips.
All right. This is WQIR 514. My name's Julie, Atlanta 947, with this week's new user tips and operating procedure segment. This week, we will talk about personal information security. These days, it's so important to maintain vigilance and awareness of your personal information. There are countless ways we put our info at risk. When you let the server take your credit card to the back to pay your check, that card could be cloned, or the account and security code could be captured and that card used to make purchases later. Online vendors require very little information to authorize a purchase, and you may not find any fraudulent charges for days or weeks after the card was compromised. Further, there are very different fraud protections on a credit card and far less protections on a debit card. Some banks may even have mixed rules depending on how the card is used. Be sure you're aware of the protections your card offers both for credit transactions and for debit transactions. Also know that there are cases where criminals have found they can fake a property sale by forging signatures on property deeds, basically stealing your home on paper and taking out a loan against the property, which results in a foreclosure. As a homeowner, you might not have any awareness of changes to your deed until the foreclosure notices arrives. While you may be able to defeat the theft of your deed, it won't be easy or cheap. Technology has advanced to the point where AI and other technology can use samples of someone's voice and can then fake that person over the phone in a very convincing way. You get a phone call from a niece, nephew, a grandchild that they're in trouble and need to be bailed out or pay the bookie. As a concerned relative, you may want to help and cover the bail. And how do you do that? Well, don't. Don't pay a bookie with gift cards. And actually, don't pay anyone over the phone with gift cards, and be very careful using phone app pay methods to make personal payments to anyone you don't know personally. Let me break. Modern technology offers so many conveniences in the modern life, and all these conveniences are opportunities for thieves to take something from you. Be very careful and resist offering any personal information to anyone who doesn't need it. Even your birthday can be the key that unlocks an account. Think about it. When you pick up your meds at the pharmacy, what do they ask for to identify you? Last name and date of birth. By making that info available on social media, it just means one less piece of data a scammer has to gather to open credit in your name. The single most powerful tool to protect your credit is a credit freeze. You will want to be sure to freeze your credit with all three of the national credit bureaus, Experian, Equifax, and TransUnion. This locks out all creditors from accessing your credit report, and they are unable to approve new accounts from being opened in your name. If they do open credit while the freeze is in effect, it will be a lot easier to prove fraud and return the responsibility for any credit offered to the lender, who will have to explain how and why they issue credit under the freeze. It won't be hard to prove that you're not responsible if a freeze was in effect at the time of the loan. Please be careful as the holidays approach and elevate your awareness. Be vigilant and pay attention to details to protect yourself and your family from any personal information breaches. And if it happens despite your efforts, hold the firms responsible for releasing your private information and make them provide an online monitoring service. These tips are how we become the best and safest operators on the nation's largest, most advanced GMRS network. And remember, if you have any questions or suggestions for new user tips and operating procedures, send me a note at julie@NGGMRS.org. We are North Georgia GMRS Network, and this is WQIR 514 Atlanta 947. Back to net control.
I've got a foot pedal around here somewhere. All right. Well, good stuff, Julie, and lots of great advice and information. And, you know, we're coming up on the time of the year. We're all thinking about additional shopping. And these are just extra opportunities for somebody to get a hold of our personal information. You know, how many times do you go into a store and they make an offer that you can get an extra percentage off if you open up a credit card with us? You know, to do that, you're going to need to provide a lot of information. And how do you know that that clerk that you're giving that information to can be trusted with that? They could very easily make a copy of that, take a picture of it with their phone, and use that same information to apply for credit cards outside of your awareness. And so you just think about these things before you offer any information in any environment, and be sure that you can trust the people that you're handing that information to treat it with the care that it needs to be treated with. You know, how many times do you sit in a doctor's office and you fill out the forms and they ask you for a social security number on those forms? Well, you don't really need to provide that. They don't need that for your medical records. They need that for the collections department if you don't pay your bill. That's one piece of information that I never provide to dentist office or doctor's offices, because they literally don't need it. And never once have I been refused service because I left that field blank. So, you know, these are things that we just need to all be aware of, and protect our personal information at every opportunity. So with that, let's continue on with the evening's programs. But before we do, I think we'll take some additional check-ins and give folks an opportunity to get logged in here. But before we do that, I have to find my where did it go? I'm at a loss here. Let me find my my log so that we can take additional check-ins. Okay, here it comes. Let's start off with Zello check-ins. Anyone using the Zello app, please call Net Control. Now remember, two things. First, my regular check-in chicken is absent this evening, so I need you all to slow down just a little bit. Now, earlier when we were taking check-ins, I think that folks thought they were messing with me by going extra slow. And as Chuck was sure to point out to Jeff, what does a yellow light mean? Slow down. And that was perfect. The pace at which we offered check-ins earlier this evening was just right. I only had 2 significant errors in check-ins. If we had gone at our regular pace, the error rate would have been much, much higher. So a nice slow pace, and the slower we go for check-ins, the faster we'll get this done. I promise. It works every time. So with that in mind, Zello check-ins and Zello check-ins only. There will be an awkward pause after we hear the last Zello check-in as we're waiting to be sure we get all of them in. Net Control standing by for Zello check-ins only.
That Mr. Wolf is not John Wolf. That's a YouTube from New York.
Ah, fascinating. We only got 2 Zello.
WRMA 965, Atlanta 934, Atlanta 964, Richard and Duluth. This is WRPP 761, Atlanta 168, Tyrone in Jefferson, in and out tonight.
This is WRYZ 968, Gainesville 100, Randall in Buford. Check me in, check me out. Have a great day.
All Zellos, those last 2?
Yeah, those were all Zellos. All right, let me go ahead and acknowledge what we have. We have some Zello check-ins. We also have some YouTube check-ins, so let's go through those real quick as well. We have Atlanta 557, Ed in Kennesaw. We also have a guest check-in from WRYQ 727, Mr. Wolf from upstate New York. And we have WSFH 368, Mark in Woodstock. All those are YouTube check-ins. From Zello, we have Atlanta 964, Richard in Duluth, checking in tonight. Also, we have Atlanta 168, Tyrone in Jefferson, checking in tonight. And Gainesville 100, Randall in Buford, checking in and out. At this time, let's continue with check-ins from any repeater other than Flagship, which is in Georgia. I'm pretty sure that's true. Any repeater other than Flagship, please call Net Control now.
This is Atlanta 766, WSCG 234, in and out. Great evening, everybody.
This is WSDT 898, Atlanta 622, Marvin and Covington. And I will be checking in and trying to hang out with you guys.
This is Atlanta 420, WRFS 771, William in Roswell, checking in and checking out via Zello. You guys have a great night, and we'll be monitoring.
This is WSAW 774, Chad 89, Dunlop, Tennessee, checking in and checking out.
This is WSAL 368, Atlanta 263, Rogers and Dunwoody, checking in and checking out.
This is WSEQ 998, McDonald 30, checking in, checking out. Have a great night, guys.
All right, let me go ahead and acknowledge this round of check-ins. We have Atlanta 766, Jeff in Monroe is in and out. Atlanta 622, Marvin in Covington is in with us tonight. Atlanta 420, William in Roswell in and out. Chattanooga 89, Jimmy in Dunlap in and out. Atlanta 263, Rogers in Dunwoody in and out. McDonough 30, William in Hampton in and out. And Atlanta 785, Rick, is a YouTube check-in tonight. Thanks for checking in on YouTube. Those are the check-ins we have at this time. We'll continue with check-ins from any repeater anywhere, including the flagship machine. Please keep the pace slow like it has been, and be mindful of doubles. And like I say, the slower we go, the faster we'll get through our check-ins. Net Control, standing by.
This WROE 368, Atlanta 870, Dale in Peachtree Corners, checking in and checking out.
Yeah, it is.
This is Houston and Austell. Check me in and out, please.
All right. I don't know what's happening here, but okay.
Skip one. I got a YouTube.
All right.
Or you're going to butcher this town, I promise. Because it's YouTube. If you change anything in the alternate location, it puts a line through it.
All right, let's go ahead and acknowledge this round of check-ins. We have Atlanta 870, Dale in Norcross, in and out. Atlanta 780, Houston in Austell is in and out. And from YouTube, we have WSFL 328, Dale in Imlay City, Michigan, checking in on YouTube. those are the check-ins we have at this time. We'll go ahead and kick off tonight's program. We'll take one more round of late check-ins when we get to the end of the roster. So if you didn't get a chance to check in, stick around. You'll have an opportunity before we close the program. So tonight's topic, again, is personal information security. And we'll head right on up to the top of the roster. First on deck is Tacoma 58 Aiden in Demarest, Georgia. Aiden, do you have any comments for tonight's topic or any other topic?
No, not really, except just be safe on the internet, I guess.
Well, you know, that's a good point, too, because there's so many things out there now. You just have to know that if the price is too good to be true, it's probably a ripoff. So whether that's Facebook Marketplace or whether that's Wish or what's the other, Temu, there's so many web pages out there that are just very scamish, and we just got to be so careful about where we put information. Now, Capital One, and I believe that probably other credit cards do this too, you can get a one-time use credit card number. So you go to their website and you tell them you're going to make an online purchase. They will give you a credit card number that you can use for that purchase, and then that number's no good anymore. So if someone were to try to scam that transaction, they can only scam one transaction. And so if you end up being charged for something other than you expected, you can contest that. But, screenshots would help. But there again, there's the internet is just ripe with places where folks are trying to rip you off. So just use that simple rule. If the price is too good to be true, it's probably a ripoff. So, something that you have to bear in mind. This day and age, there's a lot of folks that are out there looking for the easy win, and we give them that opportunity all over the place on the internet. So good point, Aiden. I appreciate your comments tonight. Next on the roster, we have Chattanooga 206 John in Dandridge. John, do you have any comments, any suggestions or advice for personal information security?
Well, it just so happens, for a living, I am an information security analyst. I was going to touch on a couple tips. You were talking about the one-time credit card use. I've never used any of these services, but there are some other companies that are third parties that do this. A coworker of mine recommended a company called Privacy.com. I think there's another one called like Revolt or something. It's like Revolution without the ION on the end. I can't personally recommend them. I've never tried them, but the Privacy.com one, he says, works really well, and he does the same thing I do. Another thing I want to talk about was phishing. So phishing is just anytime someone tries to social engineer you. They give you some information to convince you that they want to help you, or they lie to you to make you give up information that you wouldn't normally give up. And this can come in a lot of different forms: email, text messaging, a voice call, and some things to look at. If someone is trying to impart a sense of urgency to you or threaten you, like if you get a call from someone that you don't know and they're telling you the IRS has agents outside your door and you need to pay up now, all those things can be red flags for information or for a phishing scam. People will often try to blackmail you. They'll say, "Oh, we have your call history or your web browsing history or something." And these are very common, like boilerplate emails that they send out to everyone. So 99% of the time, there's not an actual threat there. They're just attempting to get you to pay, normally in Bitcoin or gift cards, like it was mentioned earlier. Let me break for a moment. If it's in the form of a text message or an email, you can take your cursor on your computer and hover it over the link, and it will tell you where the link actually goes, where the text of the link can be deceptive. You can really make it say anything you want. And with a cell phone, and you may want to practice with this on safe links before you do it on a questionable link, but you can generally long hold. Put your finger on the link and just hold it for a long time, and it will pop up and tell you where the link goes. On iPhones, sometimes they'll go ahead and open the link, but if you do that on a safe link, you can set it to where it won't do that. You can turn off the preview. You know, as it was said earlier, if a deal is too good to be true, that's a big indicator, and the gift cards were mentioned earlier as well. No one legitimate ever wants gift cards as their only way of taking payment, or at least 99.9% of the time. Bad grammar and bad spelling are the same. And just some general tips outside of phishing. Be careful about what you post to social media. If you're on vacation, don't post about being out of town until you get back, because you may be telling people that can see your post that you are out of town and your house is ripe for being robbed. Same with car bumper stickers. Be careful about what your car bumper stickers let people know about you. The little stick men with the pictures of your family, the school honor roll bumper stickers, all that can help people who might be malicious that just see your car in traffic build a thing of information about you. And then one last thing, it's probably, if we haven't already done it, too late for all of us. We might be cooked, but if you're letting someone else know, let me break one more time. When they sign up for their FCC call sign, there are services out there that will allow you to use a address that is not your physical address, but will forward messages from FCC to you. And prevent people, when they hear your FCC call sign, from being able to go and look up what your house address is and maybe do something malicious against you. And so that's something I recommend to people. But with that, I will. That's about all I've got. If you all have any questions for me after the net, feel free to holler out. I'm always happy to answer information security related questions if I can.
Oh, that's great stuff, John. And yeah, definitely stick around. And when we get toward the end, if you have any additional comments, be sure and comment in, and we'd love to hear any additional advice that you have. But yeah, that's a great point. If you've already got an address registered with the FRN, one of the problems that we have is that because it's a public record, it's publicly available. The information that you give the FCC is not held privately anywhere. That information is being made available to anybody, just pretty much for the asking. In fact, for the longest time, I would go through the FCC's website and I would pull names and addresses for newly issued GMRS licenses in the state of Georgia. And I would send postcards out to folks, inviting them to come check out North Georgia GMRS Network. I don't do that anymore, mostly because the return for the cost of postage has just gone through the roof. So, the return that we get on the number of new members that come from those mailings is so small versus the number of new members that we get from word of mouth and from other they learn about us in other ways. YouTube seems to be one of the biggest ways that new members learn about us these days. So we don't do the mailings anymore, but that information is out there. And so one of the things you can do is use a post office box or a work address, but even that doesn't guarantee that they won't be able to find your physical address if they really want to. That information is out there. And how many of us have had our information leaked in security breaches from pharmacies, from Equifax? The information is out there. And so really all we can do at this point is try to control how that information is being used. But if somebody wants to find out where you live, what your phone number is, those kind of things, what your birthday is, that information is probably out there. In fact, one of the credit bureaus has my birthday wrong. And so when I go to interact with that particular credit bureau, I've contested the information several times, and they have the correct information buried And if I get to a point where I need to get them to go change it again, they will. But invariably, it comes back with the incorrect birthday after a period of time. I don't know how that happened to begin with. It might have been me that I fat fingered something somewhere, but that can be a real pain in the butt sometimes, especially when you're trying to lift a freeze. I have notes so I can remember which credit bureau that is, and I have to intentionally enter information incorrectly just for that credit bureau. So that information can be a huge. It's time to break. Jeff's over there waving his hands like I've broken the network again.
You're about to.
So that information can be challenging sometimes, but it's all key pieces, and once all of those pieces are put together in one place, someone may be able to open credit in your name and be able to take the benefit from that credit and escape the responsibility. So thanks, John, for all of that. That's very good stuff. Let's check in with Bobby at the Vortex, Atlanta 403.
Hey, Turtle Boy. John had some great information. That was outstanding information. The only problem I ever had in life with credit stuff and all that was years ago when I used to use my credit or debit card at the gas pump, and I got hacked 3 or 4 times in the course of a couple of years doing that. So now I don't do it anymore. I either go inside and pay cash or buy something else, usually cigarettes and lottery, and get it done inside, and then, just go back out to the pump and pump it when they, to prepay for it. I never, ever use a card at the pump anymore. So that's about all I got to add. But, yeah, John had some good ideas and stuff in there.
Oh, yeah. There's a restaurant nearby that we used to go to very frequently. And I would have charges that would appear on my account after we would dine at that restaurant. And it happened a handful of times. And, of course, I caught it and was able to get the charges reversed and everything squared away. And usually they would issue a new card. But this happened repeatedly. And it stopped happening when we stopped going to that restaurant. So, game day.
Mm.
We had I had a number of bad charges come up.
Interesting. I don't remember that.
Yeah. So, just something that if you're not paying attention, if you're not looking at your statements or watching your transactions, you could easily miss that, and people can, use your card. They were never large purchases. In fact, a lot of times they were, a buck or two at like the Family Dollar. And what the fraud protection people said is what that is that's a test transaction, and they're getting ready to, they're proving that the card is valid, and they're going to sell that data with proof that it's a valid card so that somebody else will make a large transaction on that card. So nice try, but the large transaction never happened. But I saw that a number of times, and it was in a short period of time when we ate there very regularly. So good stuff, Bobby. Thanks for that. And cash for gas. And I guess that's the safest transaction we could ever make. There's very little personal information anyone can gather when you're paying with cash. So, and the other thing to consider, cash is one of those valuable commodities when things like power is out or the internet is down, or how many times have you walked into a store and they're cash only because the computers are down. So cash is king. All right. With that, let's continue on. Next on our list is Atlanta 849. Pamela in Duluth. Pamela, do you have any comments for tonight's topic?
Yes, I do. Quite a few things. I've had some interesting incidents that have happened to me, and I found out, and I call it the roving eye that's on your card, that you don't have a choice. You have to have it. I called to find out about not having it on my card. They said, sorry, got to keep it. So I found out not to use that because that's the easiest way that they can pick up on that and scan your card, because I went in just to get a drink, and you pulled the card out, and somebody must have caught it quick enough and pulled and got my number, and I had to cancel the card and wait for another one. Let me break. Also, I get one of those RFID card covers so that when I hand it to somebody at the drive-thru or to pay my bill at the restaurant, I tell them to keep it in that cover, use it, and slide it right back in. Less of a chance if I have to do it that way, and they take it. At least I can protect myself somehow or other, so I try to use that. Let me break. Yes, John Dandridge, I missed his call sign, but those were some great ideas and information on the one-time card, and I wasn't aware of the SEC getting the addresses and all the information was there. That's new to me, so I'm going to have 848 check it out. Other than that, I think it's been a good net. I've enjoyed all the information, and we'll check it out and keep it under advisement. Back to net.
Yes, the RFID chip on virtually all of our credit and debit cards now. You know, that gives you the tap to pay, and it never works for me. It is so aggravating. Where exactly are you supposed to tap? It's just quicker to put the card inside the slot and you know. But anyway, yeah, the RFID thing is scammer's paradise. You don't even have to have the card out. It can be, they just have to be in proximity to it to be able to scan that card and get its numbers off of that card. What they can't get is the security code, but they can get the rest of the information off the card. And if they've got the rest of the information and they see you enter the security code, or they see the card while you've got it out, that can be enough sometimes for them to be able to capture enough data to be able to scam you. So, you know, when you go to the gas station and a card reader is underneath the desk, you hand the card across the counter, and this is why Bobby pays cash, all right? You hand the card across the counter, and instead of swiping the card up on top where you can see it, the clerk takes the card and puts it into the machine underneath the desk. Well, oftentimes it's because there's a camera, and while the clerk is moving that card under the desk, he's holding it and he's flipping it so that a camera can see both sides of it, and then he inserts the card and conducts the transaction, hands the card right back to you, and you don't even know that happened. So they have so many slick and quick and ways of being able to steal information from you that you just wouldn't even realize are happening. So you want to be able to, whenever you're making a credit card transaction, you want to be able to see that card. When you hand it to that person, whatever they do with it needs to be exposed and visible. And if they take it behind or under and you can't see it, you're probably going to get some fraudulent charges on your card. So something else to be on the lookout for. And, you know, if you're standing in line at the gas station and you notice the person in front of you and they do that, then maybe think about which card you're going to use. Because like I said, credit cards offer a lot of protection against fraudulent charges. Debit cards often do not. So if there are fraudulent charges made on your debit card, you might end up having to eat them. Now the bank will freeze the card and they will give you a new card, but they may not reverse the charges or credit you for those fraudulent transactions. So something just to be aware of. And if you're going to use a card to make a purchase, the credit card is generally the safer tool to use. But good stuff, Pamela. Thank you for that. And yeah, the RFID thing is definitely, they have tools out there to steal from us in ways that we haven't even thought of yet. Those guys are pretty sharp. With that, we'll continue on. Next on the list is Chattanooga 173, Lee in Chattanooga. Lee, do you have any comments for tonight's topic?
Hi, thanks. I actually checked in and checked out. Maybe there was some static or something. But I just wanted to follow up on what John said about phishing. And I don't think mention, I don't think anybody else mentioned, but when you get these emails and things, you know, Bank of America and something's happened on your account, the best thing to do, don't click on anything. Don't ever click on anything. Just go to the site. If you happen to have a Bank of America account, actually go to the site and log in that way. That avoids that problem. And the other thing that I wanted to mention is, excuse me, two-factor authentication. Whenever it's possible, use that. We've got all these ways to crack passwords these days, and two-factor is currently the best way to go. So just wanted to mention that, and that's it. I'm out. Thanks.
All right. Well, Lee, it probably wasn't static on your end. It was most likely static in my finger, and I forgot to click the box that shows you as in and out. But I'm glad that we made the error and got you in here with your comments. Those are great points. And you know, the phishing thing, you know, just to go down that road a little bit further, because there are actually fonts that these scammers will use that can take a character that looks like maybe the letter A, but it's not the letter A. It's a different font, and it's a completely different character. But it displays, and it looks a lot like the letter A. And so when you see that in the URL, it'll look just like bankofamerica.com or something of that nature. But it's not. It's slightly different. So the advice that you offer of going directly to the website, pull out the card that's in question, whether it's Bank of America, whether it's Capital One, whoever it is, pull out the card and enter the URL that's printed on your card. Don't use a shortcut, and don't use the suggested shortcuts that often come up when you do a Google search. Go specifically to the URL that's on your card, and by doing that, you can avoid getting into some imposter website, because they've gotten really good at using various fonts to fake out what text displays in the URL. Another thing to pay attention to, as was mentioned earlier, is things like spelling and grammar. You know, if you see grammar errors on a web page, that's probably not Bank of America. Chances are that's an imposter website, and it exists solely to capture your user ID and password. So the two-factor authentication is a great tool to avoid that. And yeah, just be diligent and don't click on the link. Go and search that site yourself, and the best way to do that is to enter in the URL just like it's printed on the back of your credit card. That will avoid a lot of the imposter websites and help keep your information safe. So glad that you had that input. Thanks for jumping in there with that. All right, next we have, and this might be an in and out too. I'm not entirely sure, but I'm going to call on him anyway. Atlanta 964 Richard in Duluth. Richard, did you have any comments for tonight's net?
Atlanta 964, WRMA 965. Yeah, actually I had quite a few. One thing that I do as far as mitigating my debit card exposure is I keep the debit card frozen. And when I have to go to ATM at my bank, I use the phone for the NFC, the kind of the tap to pay to activate the ATM. If we're traveling, I'll carry the debit card with me, but I will only unfreeze it long enough to use it at a foreign ATM, one that's not owned by my bank. Then as soon as I get my money out, it gets refrozen. It takes literally about 30 seconds to do that on the app. As far as the RFID risk, it's not really as much as you think, because the NFC and RFID, they actually use a different token for every transaction. So even if the number does get skimmed by a reader, which is highly unlikely because it only has a distance of a few inches, it has the security and encryption built in. Also, as far as, give me 1 second here.
Richard, I'm not sure what happened. You said, give me 1 second, and that's the last thing we heard. You want to try that last part again?
Oh, sorry about that. Zello freaked out on me. But on Quicken, I download my transactions at least every couple of days to go through and make sure I don't see any type of odd transactions or anything. And on the virtual cards, American Express will do that through Google Chrome. There's a Google Chrome extension that you can add that will allow you to get virtual cards from American Express. And one last thing, I heard the advice about locking the 3 credit reports. There's also a couple of more you might want to also look at is LexisNexis Systems. They also offer their own credit report that are used by some banks, but also used by insurance companies and some other larger firms rather than, or in addition to the normal 3 credit agencies. And you can also do a lock on checks systems, CHEX systems. That will prevent somebody from opening a bogus checking account in your name. A lot of banks do new account validation through checks systems. So that's my 2 cents, Net. Back to you.
Well, those are some very good points. And, freezing and unfreezing your card. I know that my bank offers that through the app. And that wouldn't be all that hard to do, to keep your card frozen, unfreeze it when you know you're about to make some transactions, and then go ahead and freeze it up again when you're through. That's a heightened level of security because, I mean, once the card is frozen, if somebody tries to use that, the bank's going to reject that. They're going to decline that transaction over and over again. So even if they've captured your data by using the app and freezing the account, I think that's a great idea. I hadn't considered that, and that might be something we should begin to practice. And I'll tell you, I didn't know about the LexisNexis or the checks system with regards to security freezes. So I guess that's something we need to look at. I suppose if somebody were able to open a bank account in your name, they could bounce a whole bunch of checks before the bank had a chance to do anything about it. Usually, when you open an account, the bank will give you some beginner checks. Temporary. And there's usually very little information on those beginner checks. A lot of places won't accept those beginner checks, but if you send that check off in the mail to pay a bill, maybe they don't have any choice but to accept it. There could be other places that would accept those checks that may get stuck with them when they bounce, but that's something that's very interesting. Because even if they detect that check was bogus or that account was bogus, if your name is associated with that, they're going to find a way to ding your credit and cause you time and aggravation. So good stuff. LexisNexis and checks systems for security freeze. We'll have to check that out. Glad you were part of the net tonight, and thanks for your input. Next on our list is Atlanta 168, Tyrone in Jefferson. Tyrone, do you have any comments for tonight's topic? All right, Tyrone may have been in and out, so we're going to go ahead and mark him that way and continue on. That'll bring us next to Atlanta 622, Marvin in Covington. Marvin, do you have any comments for tonight's program?
Hey, good evening, everybody, and hope everybody's staying dry and warm today. And a lot of great information that people have had out here tonight. It's hard to even add to it. Everybody seemed to cover a lot of bases, even some that I wasn't aware of. You know, a lot of people here probably know I work for a hospital, and something we struggle with all the time is security and, you know, what people are doing on our networks. We've actually gone to the where we won't even allow external emails to reach anybody in the hospital except for a select few. So it's a real danger out there, and I think one of the things, I even got 2 of them today on my personal email. I think it was said something about there was a PayPal charge for something. I know I didn't do anything with it. Well, you know, a lot of times I see these things, I would delete it and report it as spam. I don't even open it. And if you ever have any issues or think of fraudulent charges, they're less likely to send you an email on this or try to validate that you've made a purchase somewhere. Give that institution a call. It was what I would think would be best. Don't click on the links. A lot of the links will send you to places. Once you click on it, you know, there's just no telling what it can do. So a lot of great points. Like I said, it's hard to, you know, add anything without just repeating what's already been said. So, you know, I guess we'll kind of leave it at that there. But, yeah, it's phishing is a huge issue with our hospital. It's been pretty major, and you know, there's a lot at risk with hospitals and private information for patients and all that. So it's a real threat. And let me break for a second. But unrelated to that, I just want to give a big thanks to Gary and all the support team and everybody that helps keep these networks up. You know, we are just tickled pink out here in the Jersey area to get this repeater back linked, and appreciate everybody's efforts. So can't say thank you enough. Anyway, we'll go ahead and give it back to you, Net Control. Again, thanks, and everybody have a great night.
Yes, good, some excellent points there. And, you know, the phishing thing is definitely, you know, Norfolk Southern, where I work, I get phishing emails as a test, I guess, from our IT department. I get a couple of them a month. And so if you catch it and you report it as spam or as a phishing email, they have a method that you can do that through Outlook. If you report it, then you get the kudos, attaboy. If you miss it and you click on something within that email, then you get the automatically assigned information security classes that you have to take for online training. So you definitely want to be sure to avoid having to go through those classes, because they are mind-numbing. But you know, it's valid information, and that is, those phishing attempts exist because they work. The scams that are out there exist because they work. Now, maybe it doesn't work on you, but they work to a degree that there's enough success in these scams that they get enough revenue to make it worth all the times that they fail. So there are people and organizations that make a living and earn an income off of ripping people off, and it's a horrible thing to think about. But there are entire call centers in overseas places where that's their function, is to try to call you and convince you that your Microsoft account has expired and you have to pay Microsoft to be able to continue to use your computer. Go to your computer and open up this web page and you can pay us online. Or the classic, you can mail the Target gift cards. You know, if somebody's looking for payment through gift cards, that's not legit. That is never going to be legit. But, you know, it works because people actually do it. People don't hear the warnings. They don't have an awareness. They don't know any better, and they fall for the scam time and again. And so whether it's a phishing email, whether it's, I can't tell you how many times I've gotten an invoice as a text message with a PDF that shows, you know, that my invoice has been successfully processed for $499, and it's from such and such company. And well, I didn't order anything from that company, and you know, I don't do any of that sort of business, so I automatically know it's garbage, and I won't even open up the PDF. But how many times do people open that up and end up getting something, some kind of malware, some kind of spyware installed on their phone? And that can be the avenue that people use to steal information. Let me break. A lot of great things have been covered this evening, and a lot of good information.
Well,
one thing that
you were talking about phishing, and I was trying not to interrupt, but I just got one today from what claimed to be the U.S. Postal Service saying my package was stuck in customs and click on the link below to unlock my package. Well, funny story, the phone number that it came from had an area code from Canada. The U.S. Postal Service is not going to have a Canada phone number.
That's interesting. Yeah, so but those are the clues. Those are the things that we need to look for, and the information to put together to determine whether or not there's any legitimacy to this or not. So in Jeff's case, did you order anything that might be coming through customs?
I mean, maybe if it was like an Amazon package, but regardless, the phone number should have still been a United States phone number.
That's right. That's right. And yeah, the things that we order on Amazon or Alibaba or any of these other what's the gold
Temu?
No, the one before that. There was a gold win or gold something. A lot of electronics parts, and particularly speakers and speaker parts and reconing parts. They were a Chinese vendor for that, and they were actually a legitimate vendor, but they've grown to the place where they sell so much stuff, and some of it is absolute flush your money down the toilet junk. Some of it is worthwhile, but a lot of it is just cheap Chinesium that's not worth the packaging it arrived in. Things like speaker surrounds that seem like they're legit, but when you get them, they're made out of the thinnest material, and it'll degrade in no time at all and doesn't offer the correct suspension performance for a speaker. We've been through speaker reconing is a whole different part of my world, but we've been through vendors of that nature. That's the kind of thing that we may very well have seen get stuck at customs. But quite honestly, anything that I've ever ordered from China may have been delayed in getting here, but I've never had to address concerns about a package in customs.
Well, the other ironic part about this particular scam was not only was it a Canadian phone number, but it said right on there it was from an iMessage, which means it came from an iPhone. No U.S. Postal Service employee is going to pick up their personal phone to text you.
Yeah, that's going to come from a server somewhere.
Right.
Yeah, so interesting. Let me break. All right, so that is the end of our roster. We'll take some additional check-ins here in just a moment, but before we do,
you got some YouTube.
We've got some YouTube check-ins here, so let's go ahead and acknowledge those. We have some guest check-ins and some member check-ins. We have guest check-in from WRYH989 Bob in Salem, Massachusetts.
Yep.
That's fantastic. Thanks for hanging out with us tonight, Bob. We've also got Chattanooga 69, Ronnie from Las Vegas. The Velvet Elvis is checking in on YouTube. McDonough 64, Kathy in Jackson is on YouTube tonight. Atlanta 355, Damon in Canton is another YouTube check-in. Some guest check-ins from WSES846, Michael as a YouTube check-in. We have a guest check-in with no tech number from Lynchburg City. Thanks for hanging out with us tonight. We have a guest from WSFN724, James in Rochester, Pennsylvania, checking in tonight on YouTube. And Atlanta 927, Connie on YouTube. Those are the check-ins we have at this time. We'll take some additional check-ins. Any questions or comments? Anybody that has heard something through tonight's program and has additional advice or comments to make, this is the time, and we look forward to hearing from you. Also, any additional check-ins from any repeater anywhere net control. Standing by.
This is WRBG 415 Atlanta 11. Please check me in and out. Interesting topic tonight. I'll be monitoring.
This is
849 with a comment.
This is McDonald 22, WRCR 952, Tim in Stockbridge. I've been programming radios tonight, forgot all about the net. I just turned my radio on, have no idea what the topic is, so I guess I'll just get in the books, just check me in and out. I don't know if I have any information for you or not there, but back to net control.
This is Dallas 21, WRKT 728 in Rockmart. My name is Lisa. Check me in, please.
This is Atlanta 499, WSDG 853. I'm in and out.
This is 206. If you got the time at the end, I'd like to make one more comment.
It's going to be Chattanooga 206.
Okay.
WSDG 876. I was going to make a comment.
All right, let me go ahead and acknowledge what we have. We heard Atlanta 11 John in Canton is in and out tonight, as well as McDonough 22 Tim in Stockbridge, also in and out. I have Dallas 21 Lisa in Southwest Paulding County is in tonight. Atlanta 499 Philip in Ackworth is in and out. And comments from Atlanta 849 and Chattanooga 206. There was another station with a comment, and I think he went ahead and just rambled off his comment. That station was fully unreadable. We could hear just tiny bits and pieces, but not enough to be able to have any intelligibility on that signal. So we don't know who you were, and we don't know what you had to say. You'll have to make some drastic improvements to your signal quality to be able to participate in tonight's net. I would recommend going to YouTube. And how far into the program are we, Jeff?
1 hour, 8 minutes.
So go to the 1 hour and 8 minute mark on YouTube, and you'll be able to hear exactly what we heard, and that might help you to understand why we're not able to take your comment. So let's go first to Dallas 21 Lisa in Southwest Paulding County, and see if Lisa has any questions or comments for tonight's topic.
Good evening, everybody. What I wanted to say is about those, I don't know if it's been mentioned yet, the credit card applications that you get in the mail. You have approved for $5,000 or $10,000, yay, blah, blah, blah. Well, if you're not interested in those, don't just throw them away, because believe it or not, this is still a thing. People can still go through your garbage in the middle of the night. So what I do with those is I put them through the shredder. And it's one of those shredders that it doesn't shred it into strips. It kind of confettis it, so it's impossible to put it back together. So I would just shred those, and that's all I have. Thank you.
Well, that's another great suggestion, and I don't see very many of those in the mail like we once did, but I don't think they've stopped. And that's definitely, the postal security is garbage. And, how long does that stuff sit in the mailbox until you can get to the place where you can get it collected? It's been years ago, but there was a time every afternoon when I came home, I would see all the mailbox doors up and down the street flipped open. Now, often the mail was still there, and I'm not aware that any of our mail was ever missing. But there were times when I was home and I saw the mail being delivered and the carrier closed the mailbox door. So I know it wasn't the postal carrier leaving the doors open. Somebody was coming through and pulling those doors open. Well, probably they were looking for something. So that's when Julie and I decided that we were going to have anything that was important sent to a post office box. That mailbox door open thing happened for the better part of a summer, but then it just stopped and it hasn't happened since. But we've got our important, anything that's a bill, anything that is other than junk mail, all of that goes to our P.O. box. And then the stuff that comes in a regular mail is magazines and newspapers and stuff that doesn't really have much sensitivity in terms of information security. My in-laws live with us now, and all of their mail is coming to the mailbox. They would rather have the mail arrive than have to go get it. And that's a choice that they make. And I'm not aware that the mailboxes have been flipped open like they were in the past. But, that is a thing, and that's a way that a lot of stuff can disappear. And how do you know if it never arrived? If it's a bill and it never arrives, and then you get another bill that says that you missed a payment, that's just the nature and the reality of postal mail. So that's an excellent point, and I think that's very important to make. One more point that I'd like to make, and I think Lisa would double down on this. I'll give her a chance to if she wants to. But we're at that season we mentioned earlier where we're doing a lot more shopping, and so we're out at the stores, we're out at the mall, we're out at the department stores, we're out at the grocery store, and we may have a number of bags, and we may be opening and closing our trunk. People may be able to see that, they've got a bunch of boxes in their trunk, or they've got a lot of bags from an expensive store in their trunk. We need to also, not only our personal information security, but our situational awareness. It's time to break. I'll be right back. So while you're out shopping at these physical stores, spending your cash, just have an awareness. When you're walking out to the car, have your keys in your hand and ready to open the door. Get in the car quickly, close the door, and lock the car. Then figure out, does this bag go in the back seat? Does this bag go over there? Does this bag whatever? Don't be fumbling around in the parking lot, especially if it's after dark. And it gets dark so early now. If you're doing any shopping after work, it's probably after dark. Just be extra careful, have situational awareness, be prepared, have a plan, and, maybe it's best that we don't do all of the shopping in one trip, but do a little bit here and a little bit there so you don't have a large accumulation of packages and bags in your car at any one time. Groceries are one thing, but, if you've got 18 bags from Kohl's and Walmart and Old Navy and 2 or 3 other places, that could make you a target. So that's what I wanted to convey. Lisa, do you have anything to add on to that?
That's me, and that ain't Lisa.
Yes, I do. When you're going out holiday shopping, it's best not to go by yourselves, especially for the ladies.
No, there you go. And like we said, it gets dark so early now. So if you can arrange a shopping day with a couple of friends, then maybe that can, enhance your security. If there's 2 or 3 of you getting into a car versus you by yourself, that can make a large difference in terms of personal safety. Yeah, not so much information safety, but just your personal safety. So that's also something that is an important consideration. Well, thanks for that, Lisa. And with that, let's continue on with our comments tonight. We had comments from Atlanta 849 and Chattanooga 206. John, will come to you here in just a moment. But first, let's see what Pamela has for us.
You got 3 more YouTubes.
Okay. Thanks for reminding me.
Okay, Ned, I'll try to be quick on this because a lot of things came to my mind. Okay, on my birthday, I got the strangest message. Oh, you need to you need to go to this, or you need to, that was weird. You need to click on here. I got some information about for your birthday. So I just kind of thought it was kind of weird. I just kind of ignored it and went on. Let me break. Also, I get these texts, and this phone number is a long number, and 91 is always in these texts. And the only thing I can figure out is got to be overseas or somewhere because you just keep an eye out for that. It's definitely phishing right there. At Kroger that I go to, when you get gas, the drawer is right there. They have their machine, card reader machine, right there. So you don't have to give it to them to check out. So that's one thing I noticed at Kroger. Let me break. And Lisa, yeah, she had a good idea about careful about how many packages you get. And what I try to do is I try to do it quick and have a black jacket or something that I can cover it up real quick. So if I go somewhere else and I'm not going straight home, nobody can see that there's something back there. They don't know that. So I try something to cover things up like that. And shopping with girlfriends and more than one person during a holiday, great idea. Definitely keep an eye on your packages and getting in and out of the car. Appreciate it. Great net. Thanks.
All right. Yes, and some very good additional points. And yeah, the phishing stuff comes from all angles, and text messages are certainly one of them. So, all right. With that, let's see what John has for us, and we'll wrap things up with John's comments. Go ahead, John. Chattanooga 206.
So dead key still coming out of Noonan.
Stuff out there tonight. I heard you guys mention, being part of a breach, and then I heard someone mention 2FA, which is very important, using 2FA or even MFA, multiple factor authentication. And there's some different ways that you can use multiple factor authentication, some better than others. There's things called FIDO tokens or physical tokens. A company called YubiKey is kind of the leading in that. That's really the best. On your phone or your Windows computer, you can use Windows Hello or the facial recognition or your fingerprint on Android, and those are very strong forms of MFA. And then there's authenticator apps like the Google Authenticator or Microsoft Authenticator apps. Those are pretty good. And then kind of at the lower end, there's you can have a one-time password sent to you through text message or call. And if that's the only thing you have an option for, definitely do it. It's better than nothing, but it's not the most secure. That being said, you should enable MFA anywhere it's available. A lot of things like your banking app or, any sort of healthcare account you have will force you to use it. But you might find that your Facebook or your Amazon account or something might not force you to. But if you go look in the security settings, it will allow you to turn it on. You should. Another thing is about being in breaches. There is a website called Have I Been Pwned, HaveIBenPWNED.com. It's ran by a security professional named Troy Hunt. It's very reputable. If you put your email address into it, it will tell you all the breaches that you've been involved in. And spoiler alert, you have been involved in some. Let me break real quick.
You already did.
And if you see an account that's on there, you should change that password. And if you use that password other places, or even a similar one, you should change those as well. And that brings me to my last point here. don't reuse the same password. You know, a lot of people, I used to do this when I was younger. I'd use the same password, maybe change one digit or something for every single application. Never do that, because when these breaches happen, they're public information, and a bad guy can just go get your password and your email address and then enter it into everything. And if you use the same password and email for everything, they'll get in. Or if, you know, you change one digit or something, it might be very obvious what that is. So I suggest using a different one for everything. You can use what's called a password manager. An iPhone, I forget what it's called, Keychain or something like that is built into the iPhone. But just know, if you use a password manager, use a reputable one. And I think 1Password, Keeper, there's a bunch of good ones. That the free one on your iPhone is great. And make sure you have MFA activated on that, because it becomes a single point of failure, where if they hack your password manager, they get all your passwords. But if you have strong MFA on it, you should be safe. And that's all I had to say. But great points from everybody all around. I thought this was a great net, and thank you for letting me participate. Sorry I took so much time.
Thanks for hanging out, John, and coming back with some additional tips and pointers. Multi-factor authentication is something that I'm seeing more and more on various things. At work we have a single sign-on function, and they're talking about discontinuing that. So the single sign-on basically means that when you sit down at your computer and you log in, you're authorized, you're authenticated against a wide range of corporate apps. And so that single sign-on is something that they're finding is a potential security breach, and they're wanting to move away from that. And I think they're talking about some sort of a password management system. I'm not entirely sure what the solution is going to be. I've seen some emails talking about making some changes there. I haven't really had time to explore that. It's one of those things that, I'm not going to have any say in the matter. So when I have to do whatever it is that just tell me then, because it doesn't make any difference if I like it or not. If they say we're going to do it, then we're going to do it. But that's an indicator to me that the single sign-on technology has some vulnerabilities, and if the multi-factor thing is what they move to, that'll be a strong indicator to me that they feel like that is the most secure thing. I don't know what the new technology is going to be for password management or for sign-on for various things. But if I had to have a different password for everything that I do, I would be locked out daily, maybe multiple times a day. I can't keep track of it, and I think they know that. I think that they know that no one's going to be able to keep track of. How many accounts do you even have? I mean, that's something that I couldn't answer. I have a spreadsheet where I keep track of quite a large number of accounts, but I know that it doesn't have everything on it. And I'll bet there's 50 or 60 different websites and different passwords that are on that spreadsheet. And that's old stuff that should be in a password manager, but I don't know how many accounts are beyond that. And some of that stuff is old that I've not been in it for years, and maybe we'll never get in it again. But that's another thing, is try to close an account somewhere. Try to go into a place that you've done business at least once in the past and tell them that you'd like all of your data removed. Good luck with that. I know there are services out there that are supposed to do that for you, but I don't know how reliable they are. But many, many things to consider, and I think that there was a lot of good information shared tonight. Let me break. We'll come right back and close. I want to say thanks to everyone that participated this evening, and some really, really high-quality content. And most of it was presented by the membership. So, there again, that's what makes this network a great thing, is I don't have to be the expert in any particular topic that we talk about, do I, Jeff?
No.
So, we can talk about a lot of different things, and it's the members that really bring in the important bits and points and tips, and And that's exactly what happened tonight. This concludes the North Georgia GMRS.
Wait a minute. You didn't acknowledge the rest of the check-ins.
Oh, I missed the YouTube check-ins, didn't I?
Then you can read your script.
All right. So let me go ahead and do this. We have Atlanta 907. Eddie is a YouTube check-in from Kennesaw. Atlanta 364 Bruce in Waleska. Atlanta 519 Gary in Marietta. I still need to call you, Gary. I just, every time I think of it, I'm in the middle of something. CW14 Stephen in Watkinsville. And that reminds me, the Watkinsville repeater is currently in trouble. We've had recurring issues with these cellular devices for our linking system. And we found a new piece of technology. It's not really a new technology, but it's just a different device. Seems to be maybe a more reliable solution. We put that into play at the Jersey site here just this week, and we may be working toward that solution for a number of locations. So we'll see how that plays, but that may make some improvements to reliability. I know we've had issues at the Roosevelt machine and now Watkinsville and just a small handful of others. Yeah, Toccoa. So if we can get those devices changed out here in the next few weeks, months, whatever it takes to acquire them and then get them into play, that may help in reliability for some of those sites. But we'll get Watkinsville back on just as soon as we get somebody out there to reset that device.
Reset the repeaters, then you can read your script.
All right. We're going to do that. I'll be right back. All right. With Jeff's permission, this concludes the North Georgia GMRS Regional Net. Tonight we had a total of 60 chickens, including net control. Net control will now be returning the repeaters back to normal use. Everyone who signed in should sign out. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and remember, comments on the YouTube channel show engagement with the video and help the channel to grow. Thanks, everyone, for allowing us to serve as net control this evening. Good night, everyone. This is Atlanta 946 WQYR 514. My name is Justin.
And Atlanta 750 WRMR 367. My name is Jeff.
We are North Georgia GMRS Network.
And we are clear. Good night, everybody.
Good night.